What is up, guys? Welcome to the Meeting Up Podcast. I am Ace.
This is RB3.
And this is the podcast where we talk about the deeper elements within your favorite movies. And this episode, per the suggestion of Mr. RB3, we are discussing the Hollywood reboot, more specifically, A Star is Born, which is a reboot that has been rebooted since 1937.
Yeah.
This will be a fascinating conversation because RB3 is very connected to these movies.
I'm not
In
connected
fact,
to these movies.
He told me right before going live that it's his favorite franchise ever.
I don't know what this dude's talking about. I don't know what this dude's talking about. What you told me before this thing is that you fucking hate A Star is Born.
I did not say that.
You were
I
like,
did not
I don't want to
say that, man. Come on. I love that song. Tell me something. I got the horses in the...
Oh, man. All right. We're not starting the podcast off this way. Not like this.
It's the... I got wrong song. My bad.
Nah.
Different Star is Born.
Hey, man, listen, I like the fact that song went viral, but
I love that song. That song went viral.
I love it. I love
horses in the bed.
Listen, I like what the song represents. I just think overall it's kind of trash. You know what I mean?
It's not trash, bro. It's a meme. You know what I told my friend? It's a meme song. It's a meme song. It's fun for like 2 weeks, and then obviously it's not going to be there. I just like what it represents, man.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that it's a middle finger to like all the white racist country guys. Yeah, that's all it is, and it's such a good middle finger. Yeah, I love it. Anyways,
it does reveal how much like Young Thug and like all the fucking Southern trap rappers like really take. Because, like, just the intro to that song really does sound like a normal-ass trap song, you know?
Yeah. I still think it's hysterical that it's a 9 Inch Nails sample. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, my God. I laughed so hard when I heard the sample.
Damn, they probably getting like 90. Man, what's the splits on that? They probably getting 90% of that shit.
They are.
That's nasty.
They syrup, man. 9 Inch Nails, man.
Yeah, Lil Nas X, man. My bad, man. Hope the splits are okay.
Shout out to Atlanta.
And then Billy Ray Cyrus jumped on there, so he's taking another 10%.
Get that money, bro.
Damn, I wonder if Lil Nas making anything off this song.
Oh, he's come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got the Wrangler on the booty, bro. Anyways, guys, A Star is Born is a movie that RB3 really does connect to.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I honestly want to know, what is it about these movies?
I don't connect to
you love them so much.
No, I thought this was like a good compromise because you originally wanted to talk about 80s movies.
I did. I just wanted to talk about it to hear your rants about it.
I mean, it wouldn't be entertaining for an hour.
You have hot takes, bro.
I don't have hot takes. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I get bored of the same 80s shit that we see in every movie, you know what I mean? But I don't personally think it'll be entertaining to hear that for an hour, you know?
Fair.
But like, but this whole, Pet Sematary, the reason why you want to talk, but by the way, did you see it? Or?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I was busy all weekend, but I'll see it eventually.
I mean, a lot of people are dunking on it. I don't know if it's like really
I saw that
bad.
too. I was like, really? Oh.
I mean, I don't really. I mean, I hope it flops.
Really?
Just so we can stop with these 80s fucking reboots.
You know, it's not going to stop it though.
We have to, bro. We have to.
No, but even if this flops, it won't stop it.
Listen, man. This is what I hope. I hope eventually one of these producers, is done bearing through their bag of cocaine and finally wakes up out of their slumber, realize they don't have any more money because all their movies flop. They don't have any more cocaine to buy. So they wake up, they go out in the streets, they find a young filmmaker and start discovering modern day talent. We don't have to have every movie. We don't have to have Shazam be.
But you know what it is?
It's an 80s movie with superheroes. We don't have to have a remake of Pet Sematary every other day. You know what
it's gonna be? It's gonna be my generation. My generation is gonna take over Hollywood, and Frank's generation, our guest from last week. Please check out the Tim Burton episode.
Great episode.
And it's going to be that. It's going to be my generation now referencing 90s movies and 90s nostalgia. And it's already happening, bro.
Well, Captain Marvel, yeah. Well,
the 90s wave, and I'm like, I'm cheering it on. I'm like, hell yeah, 90s nostalgia. I want that.
I think the 90s were a much more inventive period in history. So I think
fashion was top notch.
Well, I think if anything, I think less of like a 90s nostalgia in terms of like setting and influence. I think the idea of the 90s is a much more rebellious, much more younger representation, I feel like.
Sure.
In terms of like multiple influences. I want to kind of talk, that's part of one of the reasons why I want to talk about these different versions of A Star is Born.
First, tell me why you wanted to talk about A Star is Born specifically.
Well,
and why you actually connect to these movies.
Okay, you got to stop saying I connect to these movies. No, I don't connect to anything in these movies. But I think this is a fascinating topic because it's, for one, the most remade movie in Hollywood history that's not based on like a novel or something. Like a lot of times you'll see like Wizard of Oz has like 5 remakes.
Previous IPs.
Yeah, but this is the first. It was originally written by MGM, and MGM remade it 4 times, which is a whole nother scandal we could talk about, of how MGM is literally a machine for remaking their own movies lately.
Because that's profitable.
Well, it's not only profitable because they've gone bankrupt multiple times. So the only thing they can make, they don't have an in-house development. They just redevelop their old properties. You see that they did that with Creed. They did that with Skyfall. They did that with, I mean, literally every MGM movie. I mean,
really?
I just kind of want to pull up MGM's filmography recently. But yeah, literally every single movie they've made over the past. And then I'm gonna pull up the recent movies, but it just goes to say like that's, you know, A Star Is Born is the one that is like this has been consistent in remaking throughout the different generations of Hollywood and the different, you know, reiterations of Hollywood.
What is it about the general points in these stories? Because they're all kind of the same, to be honest. They all have the same beats and same elements and same story beats and story structures of like this girl from the middle of nowhere has an enormous talent, and then an artist who's already well known discovers who's an alcoholic discovers this talent, boosts her into stardom while he's kind of fading away into his addiction. She becomes a star, and then she has to kind of choose between becoming a star or taking care of her love, her husband, and he kind of makes the choice for her. It's that 4 times over, essentially, with 1937, 1954, 1976, and obviously 2018 with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
What is it about that makes audiences? It's always a box office success. All 4 of these reboots are pretty popular.
Not even box office success. They all get critical nominations.
That's true. Critical success.
Every single actress who has played the part of formerly Esther, now it's Allie, have been nominated or won
and Norman
the Oscar.
Was before Norman Maine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's before it was Norman Maine, now it's Jackson Maine. Because obviously people today aren't named those names.
Well, that's the other thing too. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom is named Esther though.
Oh, so, really? Oh, yeah. I mean, no offense to your mom. I mean, you know what I mean? But
don't you dare, man! No, I'm kidding.
But yeah,
it's mainly because of the
generation.
But she's a legend in the Bible, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the main reason. Esther's like the most famous woman in the Bible, besides Mary.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of the reason why.
Yeah,
it's a generational thing.
Yeah. So but you know, and what this movie represents, outside of it being, you know, just this piece of Hollywood history, it's not really. I don't think it's necessarily audiences per se. It's how the personality of the actress usually fits in with the part. Like I think that's what makes this franchise the most interesting. The original A Star Is Born is just a pretty much cookie cutter classical Hollywood film, right? But then the 1954 version is a musical. Yeah, the first 2 are musical. Well,
all of them are musicals.
Yeah, they're all musicals, but the first 2 are about movies, and the second 2 are about musicians.
That's true.
So like the second one though is about Judy Garland, and portraying Judy Garland's career. I mean, Judy Garland had one of the most tragic careers in Hollywood history. She was doped up. Like as a young actress, she had a very young career starting up from Wizard of Oz. Again, she was put through that MGM machine, that factory, and then they cranked out movies with her. She gained a substance abuse issue, and like the part of Norman in A Star Is Born is basically what she was in real life. So it was kind of like she was playing she was kind of playing opposite of herself, and kind of having this movie was kind of a showcase of displaying that within herself. So it's like it's kind of like a metatextual thing with her. Like it was like it was a very personal performance, and a lot of people regarded it as her best performance. A lot of people thought she was going to win the Academy Award that year in 1955. Even so much so that she wasn't even at the awards. She had just given birth, and they sent a camera crew to like film her reaction to thinking her winning. But Grace Kelly ended up winning that year, which was like one of the biggest upsets apparently like at that time, you know. So but that version reflected a lot of her personal, stuff going on. The Barbra Streisand version is also a very personal version of herself, and you kind of listen. I've been reading this article that was written by the director of this film after the movie came out. The director kind of just trashed the movie because he hated working with Barbra Streisand, and producer John Peters, who also produced the original Tim Burton Batman movie. He was Barbra Streisand's hairdresser, and he ultimately was like dating her, and he made her and she made him the producer of this movie of the 1976 A Star Is Born.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and he had like creative input into story beats, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they wrote the whole movie like at his house essentially, and it was just like all the stories in this article are insane, like he was like violent, like it was just all the stuff. I mean, I know you saw the Death of Superman Lives with about the Tim Burton one, R.I.P. John Schnepp. But in that version, I mean, they interview, I mean, Schnepp interviews him, and all the shit that he's saying in that interview is crazy. And what this line, the director wrote in this article all like seemingly lines up of like, this dude's ideology,
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who considered himself to be like a genius.
Yeah,
like kind of like close his eyes and like use his imagination to create amazing storylines and story beats. And
right.
It's like, maybe.
yeah. No, he's insane. But the whole thing with that is the reason why he was so involved and why Barbra Streisand was so involved in the writing process was because they wanted that film to be about them too. Like that's what the intent was through that entire thing. So she was the first one. She was the only one in this series of remakes to actually win the Oscar for it because she was essentially playing herself, like and emerging in this in like a musical type industry, And then this one, the Lady Gaga version, is very much about Lady Gaga, like to a T. It's almost like it's almost too metatextual to like have to break down. It's,
you think
it's a
so?
pop star.
After you said all the other ones were pretty meta.
Yeah, I think all of them.
This one's 2018 is the most meta.
Well, I think it's meta in the most like obvious. I mean, they're all meta in the most obvious ways.
Sure,
but this one is like I think that's why I kind of personally had a problem with this movie when I initially saw it because I thought it was just like I saw it on the plane and I liked it a lot more. But like when I initially saw it, I was like, yo, this is just they just made. They shat on the entire first 10 years of Lady Gaga's career and kind of reshaped this image of her, I was like, that's pretty. I don't know how I felt about that, but then, but I think overall, but see, I think that's what's interesting about these movies. I think each of these movies also represent a different period in Hollywood history in terms of like the original is the classical Hollywood age. The 54 version is the post-war age where there's like a lot of anxiety from men about women after the war. The 1976 version is like the quote unquote postmodern age, like the very relevant today age. And then there's a new term that has kind of popped up recently. I saw the Screen Junkies Twitter actually use it, I guess, when they promoted some Lego movie thing. But they said that there's a new term called meta-modernism. And I was like, oh shit, what's that? So I Googled it, and it's about how this generation of film is kind of unnamed, like in terms of like academia, but like through this framing, it kind of talks about how movies today are kind of based on like recreating themselves, like how it's kind of just a more meta, like a Deadpool, like a Lego movie, kind of being more meta, kind of being more straightforward. And then I think the new A Star Is Born kind of fits into that conversation perfectly as well because it kind of takes the blindfolds off and makes it very much like a self-reflective thing.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask you about essentially obviously this movie is about the Hollywood system, whether it be music or acting. What is it a positive outlook on the Hollywood system though?
I think the first movie I think was made with the intent.
But even the first movie is like they give her a new name, they change her look, and
but at that time that was like celebrated, That's what Hollywood
was considered cool. But
that's what Hollywood wanted to be known for doing.
Yeah.
They wanted to be known for creating the stars. They wanted to allure that attraction to LA.
We have to give a shout out to that YouTuber that you told me about. What's her name?
Be Kind, We Wind. One of the best YouTubers like out doing it right now.
So she made that video and she brought up this when she broke down A Star Is Born. You know what it was to me, and as someone who kind of grew up in a household that had a family that watched this show religiously, I immediately thought of it. But essentially, she broke down what the Hollywood A Star Is Born movie formula is. You know, a person from nowhere gets stardom, gets famous.
This is basically
has
an origin version of her video.
Yeah, but it's like she has an origin story, and makes other people relate to her and think to themselves that maybe that can happen to me, kind of thing. It's also in La La Land too. Like the whole
exactly.
classic.
That's exactly.
It's
what
very
La
La La Land.
Yeah. Singing in the rain.
There's an entire song about it in La La Land. You know, someone in the crowd.
Right. Exactly.
But essentially, I immediately was like, oh my God, this is an actual reality TV show, and it's called American Idol.
Yeah.
That's American Idol.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen American Idol for like 10 years because I said I grew up in a household that watched that show. And I've watched almost every season, and the whole like it's become so atrocious in the sense of like it's almost too much now. It's been too much for like the past 6 years or whatever, but now it's like the only thing that because everyone who sings on that show has an incredible voice. Your voice doesn't matter anymore because everyone sings so good. What matters is your story. My mom died in a car accident. I come from a very poor family household. I'm a minority in this group and I feel isolated. I'm whatever your they call it sob story now. And there's a formula to the Hollywood reality competition show where if you don't have a sob story, they're not going to choose you to be in the reality competition world. And I have like I've poked my pinky into the reality world type situations as far as like writing for reality TV. Reality TV, and I'm sure you know as well, as much as it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just scripted, but it's crazy.
It's
absolutely insane. But now it's like they're characters. These real people are characters.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, and I heard that this is basically what A Star Is Born is, I don't know if that's a good thing, RB3. I don't know if this idealism of becoming famous, which is all four of these movies, is the premise of the movie, saying that I'm from nowhere, but this famous guy can make me famous, and therefore I have value, and therefore
Well, no, I think
it's tricky.
Honestly, I think all four of them approach that very differently. I think the first one's very celebratory. I think the second one is like very cynical. I think it's very like anti that. You know, I think it's very much of like Hollywood will break you, Hollywood will destroy you. You know, and you see that in Judy Garland's performance. She has a great monologue in the middle of the film where she is, you know, broken up about how Norman is such an alcoholic, and she goes on and she's like,
sometimes I hate him. I hate his promises to stop, and then the watching and waiting to see it begin again. I hate to go home to him at night, listen to his lies. Well, my heart goes out to him because he tries. He does try. But I hate him for failing. I hate me, too. I hate me because I failed, too.
It's a very powerful monologue because you know Judy Garland was like coming from the heart because that was what she had been dealing with her entire life, you know? But in presenting that movie in that way, it's a very cynical movie. And so much so, I think the second version of it is so cynical. The movie, when it originally came out, it was like a 3-hour long movie or whatever. And the version you can watch now is 3 hours. But then the studio literally took it out of theaters, cut it down to like 2 hours and 15 minutes to fit in more showtimes, and then put it back out. And they butchered it. That's why a lot of people think she lost the Academy Award that year, is because most people saw the butchered version that kind of made no sense.
Oh, interesting.
But I mean, that just further, you know, proves the point of like, yeah, that version is a lot more cynical, and you know, Hollywood clearly reflected that. I think in the second one at least. The third one, I think, is kind of in the middle. I think that one's a lot more female independent, and again, Barbra Streisand had very
it's in the middle of the women's movement, right?
Yeah, 1970s. Yeah, 1975, 1970. I think this movie came out in 1976.
Yeah,
so it's very pro woman. I mean, even you see Star Wars is a very pro that came out in 77. More so today, as you know, a lot of movies you see today is very pro woman because that was just the 70s, you know. But that one was a little more. But yeah, I think the new one engages in a lot more of the discovery of like the glamorized look at it. But again, it's because it's Lady Gaga. So,
but what is it about? What is it about this rags to riches ideology that makes shows like American Idol, that makes movies like A Star Is Born so popular in America, specifically American audiences who watch TV and watch movies and have this kind of ideology of becoming famous and the idea of fame and all that kind of stuff that now has been boiled down to social media, right? Because now 15 seconds of fame can literally be 15 seconds of fame on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And YouTube is another example too, especially in this city. I can tell you plenty of stories of people who are YouTubers who consider themselves to be gods. And it's dangerous and it's scary and it's kind of frightening.
Yeah. Fortunately, all the ones I worked with haven't been.
Oh, that's right. You do.
I've only worked with Anthony. That's the only YouTuber.
Yeah, I've worked with others.
Yeah, I know. You used to work Pro Studio or something.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So it's crazy. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is what is it about these stories, RB3, A Star Is Born, of like this person from nowhere that becomes famous, that America connects to so much, whether it be, like I said, back in 1937 to now, 2018, a very, very well-received movie that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga kind of brought together. And we talked about it when we talked about the Oscar nominations and what these movies represent. But I really feel, and I even named Bradley Cooper one of the most influential directors of 2018 because of what I feel this movie does. And what I feel this movie does, 2018 I'm talking about, is the concept of having your two leads be from two sides of two different worlds in this country. That's very specific, of making someone like a Lady Gaga, who's known for being
got
very
discovered in the where she get found at in that movie. It was like a
drag competition.
Show.
Getting found in a drag. But even if you take the movie away, just Lady Gaga in real life, known for being someone who's very edgy, very progressive.
Not recently, but yeah.
You're right, not recently, but that's where she comes from. That's kind of her, that's what made her famous. Very in your face, very not family friendly type stuff, versus someone like a Bradley Cooper, who's known for the American Sniper guy, the guy who's all American,
American Hustle.
Like this guy represents the classic American
Hangover,
white dude.
Yeah.
He's kind of what that represents, and kind of smashing those two worlds together and making him a country star too. I think that's very purposeful. And you talked about it too. Like, why is this movie so popular? And it's because,
it's
like I said,
America.
you have but it's middle America, but it's also like
the Hollywood,
the coastal
LA type,
elitists, the coastal progressives, like whatever you want to call him. No, I'm serious though. Like think about it, man. Think about like how this movie had both of those audiences, and that's kind of why it was so well received.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big part of it.
I think that's huge.
I didn't think about it that way. I thought they leaned into the country stuff so heavy. I was like, yo, what is?
But they found her at a drag competition. That's very specific.
I thought that was also a nice nod to like Lady Gaga's fan base of being a very LGBTQ friendly fan base.
And the country
she did have the gay best friend. She had the gay best friend.
Yeah, and the country music industry is known for not being very LGBT friendly.
So I think why I like this movie a lot more when the second time I saw it, because honestly, I'll be honest. Like the first time I saw it, I got in. I got in 15 minutes late. Like I didn't see the first 15 minutes of it. I
can't do that, bro.
I walked in at the part where they're sitting outside the grocery store and she starts singing. I'm like, what?
That's not 15. That's like 30 minutes in, bro.
I don't know why. I don't know what happened. So next scene,
you missed the whole like drag scene.
Yeah. So then I saw it. So then I sat down and I saw it again on the plane on my way back from Miami.
Yeah.
And then I had literally, when I first saw it, I was like, yo, this movie's all right, but, yo, the too many close-ups, the editing was awful. Like, I was just hating on it,
Yeah.
But then I didn't really, I guess it was because I didn't really connect to the story itself. But, yeah, watching that first, like, I don't know. You said 30 minutes. Like it really did. It really did give me a lot more. I really did find a lot more to appreciate. In that movie.
Because it's kind of the smashing of these two worlds that kind of come in, and you could say
I love that scene when he walks into the bar, and then like the dude's like, "This is not the bar you want to be at." It was like, "Y'all got alcohol?"
Yeah,
it's like, "Yeah," and it's like, "This is where I want to be." Like, yeah, that's so funny. Like,
it's a great. I actually really like that. I like that juxtaposition that they did. I really like putting the country star and putting the classic country dude in this kind of otherworldly drag competition. Like, imagine that situation. It's very. I've always said it. I've said it before, but it's very jarring for middle America to be in that situation, and the fact that you literally smash middle America into that situation and make it fun and make it compelling and make it like, man, I want to go do a drag place now. Like, that's what audiences can say now after seeing that movie. They could be like, man, that's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah, that movie really hit with middle America like in a different way, man. Like it really did hit. That same way American Sniper hit that way too. But
so did these other Stars Born movies.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people were sold by the story. I mean, I think a big part of it is the idea of America in and of itself, right? The idea of America is like you could come here and you could chase your dreams. If you work hard enough, you could get to the finish line and do it. Now, obviously, is that reality? No, it's not. That's not. Unfortunately, there's not an equal playing field for people. But the idea behind it is something that's very inspirational. That's why I think American Idol.
Do you think?
So
here's my question to you: do you think that's inspirational, or do you think that's futile, for lack of a better word? Like, I just don't know if it's good for people to kind of be caught up in this world of like, I gotta be famous, and I got a chance, I got a shot.
Yeah, clout's the most dangerous drug right now, man. Clout's the new cocaine, bro.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, because we live in this city, so we know all about it. Every rumor you've heard about LA, it's true. Yeah. I'm like Han Solo. I'm like, it's true.
Yeah,
all of it. Yeah. It really is, man.
Oh, no, it really is.
Is that a good thing? Because I've seen the dangerous side of it. I mean, BoJack Horseman, man, for crying out loud.
BoJack Horseman is like the most realistic.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been at little like meetings, parties, after parties. You have too, man. You've been to that
I don't
stuff.
know if I've been to a lot of
You've been in Comic-Con. That's good enough.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been around people who are like, I've been to this and I'm more important.
Oh yeah,
I'm getting into this party because I am. And I was like, bro, I don't even know you, bro.
That scene in the backyard of La La Land when the homeboy comes up to him is like, yeah, I have a draft and I have a treatment. I think
that's it.
I'm really good at world building. Like that is so accurate.
It's so true. Yeah. Everything in this, every person you meet is a stepping stone for me to step on. And if not, then they're not worth my time. I literally, when you're like, oh, hey, what do you do? Oh, cool, bye. I'm going over here to talk to this person. That's real. It's all real because you've experienced it. I've experienced it. Is that good, RB3, to send that message to
Well, do you want people to have their hearts broken?
Yeah, I do.
To not have a dream? I mean, listen, man, if people start painting Hollywood, I mean, people do paint Hollywood how it really is, man. I don't know if you've seen that show, Ray Donovan. That show's kind of hard, man. It's about a Hollywood, like, fixer. So he, like, when, somebody, like, wakes up with, like, a dead prostitute or something, he comes in and, like, fixes it for,
Liev
like...
Schreiber, right?
Yeah, Liev Schreiber, and that show's hard. But that's if you want to get the dangerous side of Hollywood, that's the dangerous side. If you want to get the funny but like realistic, BoJack Horseman is your thing, But I guess Hollywood is only going to like reward and publicize and give all these great graces to movies that celebrate themselves. You know what I mean? Like and A Star Is Born is like the perfect example of that. It's the quintessential pro Hollywood. Hollywood's a glamour space. Come here, live life, and I think that's why. I mean, that's why movies like The Artist win Oscars. That's why Argo, why maybe not being the best movie of that year, is that it has a Hollywood element. That's why you see I love Birdman. I think Birdman is probably the most cynical Hollywood movie to win Best Picture, but it's still Hollywood, like. So it's very much like it's like a self-rewarding thing. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way because I think I think Hollywood doing that, they want to celebrate themselves because they know that people aren't really interested in the movies as much anymore. People are going away to TV. People are going away to streaming, you know. So, you know, I used to be very against like, yo, what's this Hollywood stuff, you know? But now I see that, you know, Hollywood wants to at least hold on to what's left of their image, you know?
Yeah, and that's what A Star is Born embodies. I mean,
that's what every version of A Star is Born. Hollywood throughout history has loved musicals. Like Hollywood wants to keep musicals in the mainstay, you know. Yeah. Especially back in the 50s. I mean, the 50s Hollywood, you know,
that was all musicals.
Yeah. Well,
that was like the MCU.
Yeah, but I mean,
superhero movies were musicals.
Yeah, but they were going out slowly and surely. You know what I mean? Like they were doing big hits, but then this version of A Star Is Born, for example, when it came out, it cost $5 million to make. It was the second most expensive movie ever made up until that point at that time. So, and it was partially because it was a musical, but mostly because Judy Garland was having a hard time with substance abuse, so she kept delaying production. And the budget just inflated, you know. But this was the beginning of the end to where we see musicals on the way out. But Hollywood continued to award musicals whenever they got the chance to. That's why people put A Star Is Born like on a pedestal.
What do you think? What do you think the musical genre is now? Do you think it's officially dead? Because there's a great video by another YouTuber that I really like, Lindsay Ellis.
Hey.
Shout out to Lindsay. I've shouted her out before. But she talks about the musical genre being essentially dead. Now it's obviously modern musical is what we see now, modern musical, and how the musical elements in the movie are actually a part of the movie, essentially being like a show at a concert, you know, singing at the side of the street, like whatever it is, it's a part of the character. It's not me singing to myself in my room because I feel lonely. You know, that kind of idea of like a new version of a musical being a part of the story. Where is that now? Obviously, La La Land is an example of it.
It's very traditional type.
Very traditional type. We see that recently. Mamma Mia came out. Mamma Mia 2 came out. It was pretty popular.
I didn't see either of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think musicals, they're always going to have like a subgenre, you know?
Sure.
But now what you see is
A Star Is Born.
Star Is Born. Yeah, but see, now you see A Star Is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Both movies that are musicals, but they don't even call them musicals anymore. They're not.
That's what I'm saying.
Are
they musicals?
They're not nominated in the Golden Globes for comedy or musical, even though they're specifically music oriented, you know? They don't. I mean, Hollywood kind of shies away from that now because it doesn't make money, you know? At the end of the day, Hollywood's a business.
Is that really the case that it doesn't make money?
I mean,
every
don't.
musical that's come out recently.
Well, they're so rare now that they make money. But I mean, they went through. I mean, you gotta think they went through 50 years of musicals not making money. You know, from like the '60s to maybe the 2010s. But it's a lot more common.
Mary Poppins Returns was also 2018 musical.
But that didn't do well though, did it? Or
I think it did. Yeah, I think it did pretty well.
I don't know
Into the Woods was recent. Mamma Mia, I already said.
But again, it's so rare, you know. Now
they just
so
announced
rare.
the Grease prequel, which will probably be a musical.
I'm not watching that shit. Are you kidding me?
I'm not watching it either.
But see, that's
maybe.
So
I don't know.
Let me go into MGM real quick.
The Greatest Showman came out 2 years ago.
The Greatest Showman, but again,
what I'm saying is like, what is the musical genre now?
Musical genre now. I mean, it's still around. It's still going to be around. It's still going to be around. But it's just as much as we see a Western a couple of Westerns every year. You know. Like we see Westworld on TV. Like even though the Western genre is not present, is not here.
And you could say it's kind of, for lack of a better word, dead. Kind of dead.
Yeah.
The Westerns.
I mean, it's a subgenre, you know.
It is.
People are.
What is it called now? Like neo-Western?
Yeah, neo-Western is like a term that people use. But I mean, I think it's the same with musicals to some extent too. It's like it's kind of like a neo
musical
kind of thing. Yeah. You know, which is honestly is not bad. I honestly think that. Having this like wave. I mean, having a self-reflective thing like La La Land, having something that's so like kind of winking at the camera almost. Again, that plays into the whole meta-modernism idea of like this is the modern era in which like everything pokes fun at something else. Everything is inspired by something else. Everything is is an older movie flipped onto in and of itself. So that's. I mean, I think that's that's the embrace that we're in now. But I think that plays a big part. I mean, listen, like I kind of want to mention how MGM's been handling their business lately. So their remakes within going back from 2009, so like the past 10 years. The Taking of Pelican 1, 2, 3. Fame.
Pelican 1, 2, 3?
Or Taking of Pelham, 1, 2, 3 with Denzel. That was a remake of the 1970s movie. Fame, 1980s movie. The Hobbit prequels, like reintroducing Lord of the Rings. G.I. Joe, Hansel and Gretel, Carrie.
That's right, they did a Carrie.
Poltergeist, Creed. Again, that was the Rocky.
Yeah.
Barbershop, Ben-Hur, Magnificent Seven.
Wow.
Death Wish, Tomb Raider, and of course, A Star Is Born. So, and some people even consider the Fighting with My Family. I don't know who did the original Fighting with My Family documentary.
It was a documentary, yeah.
But like adapting that into their thing too. But you see what I'm saying? Like that's their entire business model as of late. So when we talk about Disney remaking all their old animated movies, we should also have a conversation about MGM relying on their old library to churn these out.
Is this always going to be the case, RB3? Are we always going to see, reboots and remakes of movies that we've seen in the past?
I think so. I mean, I think at this point, yeah. I think that's what is defining our if I'm going to I like using the term metamodernism now. So if that's what we're defining as this generation.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing, or you can't nail down if it's good or bad? Because we've seen good reboots.
Yeah,
a lot of good
great reboots. Yeah,
and we've seen good reboots reintroduce a beautiful work of art to a new audience. That's always been my kind of counter to everyone being like, stop the reboots, stop the remakes. And I'm like, well, what about the 12-year-old who's now going to experience a brand new movie that to them, it's brand new to them,
right,
where they get to experience a story, however old it is, that they've never heard.
I mean, well, now we're just seeing reboots from shit that came out like 5 years ago. I mean, I forgot. I'm literally looking at this list, and I completely forgot to mention that MGM also had The Girl with the Spider's Web rebooted from their 2011 movie, which was rebooted from a 2009 movie. From the Swedish movie. Like, that's how it's not even.
It's a great story, though.
Yeah, it's a great story. I mean, but it's like, they're coming so frequently now. We're just gonna keep getting used to seeing the same thing.
Sure.
Unless
are you anti-reboot though?
I think mostly. I think mostly is not good for cinema. I mean I think it is. I mean, honestly, it's good that stories can get repackaged and I mean, I think there's a difference. Hold up. I think there's a difference between reboot and remake. For one, I think remakes are just remaking the movie one time to kind of celebrate it or whatever. I think we're always going to see that. I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Rebooting, however, like having franchises and restarting them every 5 years, I think that's a dangerous practice. What
about Into the Spider-Verse? What about movies like that? That are like amazing, great movies that bring a great message to new kids who probably didn't grow up with the Raimi Spider-Verse like we did.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, but we also got to look at Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I don't know. Someone argued Tobey Maguire's, I mean, I'm sorry, someone will argue Tom Holland's Spider-Man is not being, just being too kid-oriented.
You know what a good example is for me that I always bring up?
Yeah.
And I was talking about it to Scott Mance because Scott Mance is a big fan of it. Star Trek, 2009. Me, personally, zero. I've never seen a single episode of Star Trek. I don't know anything about Star Trek. I'm a Star Wars guy. I've been a Star Wars guy my whole life. I watched that movie, and all of a sudden, I'm like, yo, Spock is cool. This is really freaking cool. Like, I like the world that they reference, and the world that they reference is based off this awesome classic story that I can now experience or re-experience now with this new franchise.
But I mean, it just to me is like I like most of the Star Trek movies too, but like at some point, are we gonna do you want a Star Trek 11 or do you want a new Valerian or do you want a new Alita or do you want a new something original?
But if the stories of Star Trek are so powerful and so impactful using the sci-fi genre to talk about socio-political elements and socio-political problems that we see now, and it's timeless essentially. Yeah, Star Trek can be timeless. You can make a 2050 Star Trek talking about whatever's going to happen in 2050.
Well, what's beautiful about today's both population and generation and media consumption is that there's a big enough audience for anything to keep surviving. You know, like now there's there's enough Star Trek fans. Like at least Star Trek will never get canceled fully now. You know, because there's enough people who are going to watch it just because that's how many people live in America, live throughout the world. You know, so now I'm totally cool with like reboots and all this stuff happening simultaneously as we're getting original stories. I just now I'm a little worried that we are, like I'm saying, MGM. The only original movie they've made recently was Overboard, and you know that's a little upsetting to me.
Which one's Overboard?
That's the one with was that the one with the zombies in World War II? Am I thinking?
No,
of the
I
right
think
one?
Overboard is the one with homie.
Oh.
Eugenio Derbez.
Oh, right. Eva Longoria, yeah.
Wasn't that based on something though?
Oh, this could be a remake.
Yeah, that was a remake.
All right, man. Fuck it, man. I give up hope, man. I give up hope. Nobody's gonna make anything original.
Well,
everything Disney's making is a remake. Everything MGM's making is a remake. Everything else is 80s.
I agree
don't
that
know,
there's
man.
dangerous elements to remakes and reboots. I just feel like they can also introduce things and elements and stories that can be new and original for so many people.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's why I think looking at A Star is Born, the 4 different versions, is so fascinating. And I think, lastly, to kind of bring it back home a little bit,
Yeah.
I think outside of looking at the female star that is, Allie/Esther throughout these movies, looking at the male characters also give you kind of a perspective on what the world was during that time as well, right? The original character is just a traditional. Again, the original Star is Born is not like an extraordinary movie. It's kind of just a traditional classical Hollywood movie, So it doesn't really have anything like politically to say outside of it just being a 1937 movie, But I think the second reboot of it speaks a lot more to the times. It speaks a lot more to the post-war anxiety that a lot of men felt. You know how after World War II, a lot of the women stayed at home and were taking care of the households and working. And when a lot of the men came home, there was a lot of anxiety in the sense that their jobs, they felt demasculated. Their jobs weren't, their wives had jobs. Now they're being more independent. And that was a common thing that you saw through cinema. That was a big fear in sci-fi cinema. That's why movies like the Giant Woman or whatever, the 50-foot Woman or whatever came out. That's why we saw a lot of female characters in sci-fi movies. Like the original The Thing is kind of she's kind of a manipulative character. We see a lot. We don't see positive portrayals in women through film at this point. So we see a lot of that post-war anxiety through the character of Norman Maine in this film, because he is like this intellectual, like cultured used to be an actor, but he's kind of broken apart when Homegirl takes over, when Esther takes over the spotlight, when Judy Garland takes over the spotlight.
When he's like that's I'm the famous guy. I'm the one who should be
winning
these awards. I'm the one who made her famous.
Right, exactly. So and
which is a real fear that people have.
And then it also spoke to a lot of that post-war anxiety about not getting their jobs, about men not having jobs, because there's that whole monologue. Every version of A Star is Born has that dude going up to the stage and interrupting the award speech. In this movie, it was
which one? 54?
In the 54 movie, it was he goes up on stage and he's like,
I made a lot of money for you, gentlemen, in my time through the years, haven't I? Well, I need a job now. Yeah, that's it. That's the speech. That's it. I need a job. That's what I wanted to say. I need a job. It's as simple as that. I need a job. That's all.
And that's what a lot of men feared during that time.
Let me bring this conversation around to something that I feel is a big element from A Star is Born, at least personally for me, watching the 2018 version. And this is a delicate subject, but I feel like I have to talk about it, and that's suicide. And the fact that I don't know what this movie is saying, specifically Bradley Cooper's 2018 version, about suicide. Is Jackson somehow being portrayed as heroic for taking his own life and not trying to take away for not wanting to be a hindrance in the life of Allie. Because to me, that's I don't know if I want to have a movie that says that statement or sets that message of portraying suicide as some sort of self-sacrificing way of elevating your love or elevating your wife or whoever it is.
I think it's complicated. I don't think that's what that movie is saying. I don't think that's what the movie is saying.
I don't think it's what it's saying,
heroic.
but I don't know. I just didn't sit well with me seeing that.
Yeah, I mean,
because I feel like that's even more selfish.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what this.
But then
movie,
again, it's suicide.
But I think that's what this movie in particular is saying. I think the 2018 version, more than any other version, is kind of leaning into the selfishness version of it, because this is the first version where we see he has a brother, he had a family, he has a wife and a dog. Like,
yeah, man, that dog too.
Yeah, and the dog was outside of the garage.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt.
But I think this version more than any other version was like is not a selfish act, and he even says that. I think Sam Rockwell even says that at the end of the film, when he's like, when he's explaining to Allie like it wasn't her fault, like he was being the selfish one in this situation.
I think personally, I come from a place of I don't like the solution to a problem being suicide, where it's like I have this issue, I'm confronted with this issue, I have all these things kind of slammed in my face. I know what to do, take my own life. And it's like, that's a movie trope that we've seen forever, literally forever, to the point that I'm like, I don't know if we still want to do that. I mean, I feel like we're in a new age where we don't have to have that as an escape or a scapegoat for a character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we see a lot of suicide. I mean, besides like 13 Reasons Why, but which kind of that's what you talk about is more glorifying it. I think that's more of a thing. But I think this movie goes out of its way to show you how troubled this dude is. It goes out of your way to show you the substance abuse, the alcoholism. He's smashing Adderall on the table with his boot or whatever and doing all this. So it's very clearly like it's showing you all of his problems. It's showing you the descent into. I think more than anything, I think the 54 version was about post-war, anxiety. The 76 version didn't really have much to say at all in terms of the male character. But then this version is very much of like this dude's not a good dude. Like he very clearly has a substance abuse problem. He just can't break it. He keeps going to rehab. He just can't break it. I don't think it portrays as like an escape. I think that's just the end to this character's story. I think more than anything, it shows that it's a substances that brings him to that point.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could kind of make an argument that her music elevates and that her passion for art is now somehow better or elevated or more, on a higher level because of his death. She's using that as a tool to write more songs and write better music and become more famous.
I don't know about that.
I mean, that ending song tells you that right away.
But that's one song.
That ending song, you're like, bro.
But if any dude had if any singer had a wife and she was if any celebrity had a wife and she was a singer, you don't think she would do a tribute song? Like,
of course, but I still feel like I don't know. I just feel like that's dangerous to say like, oh, well, now he's dead, so I'm gonna write all these songs about my beautiful dead husband, and it's like,
I don't think. Wait, where's that coming from?
The final song, and there's the final performance where she kind of like becomes like this new, like she's no longer singing about ass and them jeans, like my favorite line in that movie.
Yeah,
ass and them jeans.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
But now that the fact that she's singing about love and all this beautiful, and it's like this poetic coming into her own and now really becoming herself and now really.
I think it's just one. I mean, that's just one song though. Like I don't know why. I mean, I don't think any singer has ever like written a bunch of songs about their dead husband before. Like,
no, I know, but you have to admit though, like being a fan of music, that there's always this kind of idea that the best music comes from pain.
Yeah,
whether that be even in like ancient times of like Beethoven and Bach.
Yeah.
Like they took their pain and created amazing works of art.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I just feel like it's dangerous to encourage that or to say that in a movie. And I don't think it's saying that. I just don't like the escape of suicide being incorporated into these movies.
I mean, I mean,
That's just a personal thing.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, I think musically though, I think having that song at the end is essential to the versions of all the different versions of
it's a great song too.
Because I mean, all of them have the last tribute at the end where she belts a thing for her husband. I think that's and I think outside of it being a thing about money and profit, I think it's more of a thing of therapy, right? It's more of a tribute, a therapeutic expression of emotion, So I mean, that's what I don't, I find that scene to be a little more okay for me, but I think overall, I mean, that's kind of why the different versions all have a different kind of context to it, because in this, and the 54 version, she takes his last name. She takes his last name, but in the subsequent versions, she doesn't. So it's very much, or I think in the 2018 version it might have been the hyphen. I don't even think they said it.
No,
I don't even think they even said it. Yeah, but the 76 version, she doesn't take his last name, if I'm not mistaken.
Did she have a stage? Did she have like a stage, or was it just Allie in the 2018?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But I think it was just her name, first name, Allie.
Yeah, but and that. But in representing that, I mean that just goes to show you how it's how a much more independent women's movement can lead to that. How can it lead to that sense of independence after losing a husband?
Yeah, and it's in all four versions you root for Esther / Allie quite a bit. Like she is that character that you were definitely rooting for, and you connect to her. And she carries the movie essentially.
No, exactly. That's why everyone has been nominated for an Oscar, except a lot of people thought Lady Gaga was going to win for this one, but she didn't. So
no, I definitely didn't think that. Not because she wasn't good, but just there was a lot in there, man. Glenn Close, Olivia Colman.
Who saw Glenn Close's movie?
No one saw it.
Yeah, so
it was just his tribute work. That's all it was.
But they didn't give it to her.
They didn't give it to her. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
they didn't do it. Kind of last thing I want to end on is just I kind of want to finish this conversation that we have on the story of rags to riches, the story of like the underdog, the Rocky going up against the champion and becoming the legendary Rocky and all that. I mean, that's such a iconic story that so many people love, and you can never go wrong with that formula, as we've seen in Hollywood. And I like how we started this conversation with Lil Nas X, but at the same time, you could kind of say that that's essentially what we're seeing happening right now with Lil Nas X, bro.
Do you think he's gonna survive from more than one song?
I don't know if he's gonna survive. You never know, man. You never know. But one of those things is like, we're rooting for this guy so hard.
Yeah.
Kind of because we like that kind of underdog story.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I'm rooting for him is because the Billboard took away his country,
and it's clearly a country song.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh,
man.
it's a
country. You think them white people in them pickup trucks gonna want to hear that? Those 808s, those hard beats, like nah. As soon as that, I'll say this: when the song started, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a country song. As soon as the 808,
you know what turned me on it? You know what turned me on it? It's 100% the vocal. Take away the track, the vocal. I got the horses in the back. These on them. That's country, bro. You can't fake that.
It's country, but I feel like
that vocal is like there's a obviously we're not country guys, but everyone knows that the country vocal is very, very, the cadence, the pronunciation is very specific. It's country.
But trap music has appropriated that so much to this point that it's almost indistinguishable. You know what I mean? Like it's like I mean, we hear it all the time. We hear Young Thug, we hear Lil Wayne, we hear who else is like a big Gucci Mane. Like they have a very Migos. Like all of these dudes have a very they have a very country. Even Beyonce has multiple country songs. Multiple country songs.
In the back and riding on.
What was that one song she had? To the left. To
the left.
Irreplaceable. Yeah, that was on the country charts.
Ugh.
Yeah, but it was because it was country, So to me, it's like it's not the most. To me, the song's not the most impressive thing. But yes, I am rooting for the meme. I am rooting for
Lil Nas X.
For Lil Nas X, because
Yeah.
they got to give that boy his country. And you know what? I do say black people invented country music from the very beginning. We came up with blues. We came up with jazz. Mainly blues. Blues is what directly transformed into country. So.
Yeah, I think there needs something to be. I think this is the perfect. I hate to put this all on this young artist, but this is the perfect thing that we need right now. We need that kind of bridge between like I just said before, like the middle finger of like, you know what? Nah, you can't take this from me. I am country. I am making this song, and
we need Drake on the remix.
Billy
That's
Ray
what
Cyrus.
we need Drake on the remix. Get Drake on the remake. Drake's gonna be riding up in those penalties real soon, man. As soon as he catches somebody hot, he's in their DMs. You know.
I don't know, man. I just feel like there's a lot to be said about how we root for young artists on the come up, and that's something that I guess everyone can do. As far as box office with the Star is Born movies that always do so well in the box office, like regardless of anything else, they do so well. Yeah. So, either way, man. Any last words?
Nah, man. I think this was a fun episode outside of us talking just Star is Born. We talked about live versions.
Yeah, we did, man.
Yeah,
we made it good. Horses in the back, bro. Riding on my tractor.
Hey, man, Jackson, Maine.
Hey.
You think Jackson, Maine and Lil Nas X get collab going?
Yeah, dude, they gotta make a new song, bro.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. See, that's why, man. That's why you gotta stay around. You gotta stick around, bro.
Bradley Cooper.
You gotta stay in therapy and rehab. And you would have made a dope song with Lil Nas X.
Bradley Cooper could go in that booth with him.
Yeah, for sure. Either way, guys, that is our episode on A Star is Born. Let us know in the comments below. What is your favorite version? What do you think of this conversation? Yeah, go comment. Go subscribe to our channel, First Cut on YouTube. If you're listening on the Collider Factory iTunes feed, go over to First Cut. We're making more videos over there. We're doing movie reviews. We did our Shazam review.
Yeah,
so go check that out. That
you
was a lot
called me
of fun.
paid. You called me paid in that review.
I didn't call you paid, bro.
You called me paid.
I didn't call you paid. I just said someone put money in your pocket. Either way, guys, go check that out. For the Meaning of Podcast, I miss.
This is RB3.
Peace out, guys.